Hello there everyone again. This is Charlie Brawley back at you with another video. In this video I'm going to be talking about bankroll management. Roulette financial management, manage your game like a business and succeed. One of the biggest issues I think sometimes that people have is how to recover from losses, and that's only because they don't have proper bankroll. And even sometimes they have good strategies, but just poor bankroll. And that's because of the way that they've been taught to see it, the way that they play it. They play it like a game. They play it like a gambler. And if you're going to play it like a gambler, you're going to get the results of a gambler. So what do I mean by play it like a gambler? Well, playing it like a gambler means not having enough strategy and financial management to succeed. It's like starting a business with $50 and that's all you have. So I'm going to talk to you about the game, the business, and what I think are some of the best ways to manage your money according to your strategy and according to time. I'm going to talk about how time itself plays a part in financial management and the business of this game, because the moment you understand the business of it, you begin to manage it like a business, and you'll have a lot of consistent wins. I don't think you could ever lose in your life playing this game. But anyway, so let's talk a little bit about it and we'll go forward. And I think the biggest reason that people lose is because of the bankroll management. So let's go into it. All right, so number one, it's a business, folks. There's a reason why they make $1 billion a month, okay, or something along that lines. It's because it's a business. The thing about their business is that they've got to get you to understand that it's a game. To them, it's a business, but they've made you look at it as a game. Okay, and the fact is it is a game, but they've sold it from an idea of a consumer playing it strictly as a game and not as business. But to them, it's big business, which is why they make such an emphasis in marketing on the fact that it's a gambling system, it's a gambling game. That's why they spend thousands and millions of dollars on alcohol and make it free, because they want to keep you in the mind frame of it's only a game. Because the moment you start to see it like a business, you begin to run it like a business, you're going to see how lucrative this game really is. So it's an all cash business. The risk factors in this business is cash flow and strategy. It's not like a regular business where you have tremendous overhead, tremendous risk factors in your overhead that if you can't calculate it, it will run you into the ground. Another risk factor in this, I don't think I've put it, is the concept of time. So cash flow, I guess you can call cash flow time, because if you're at a loss, it's going to take time to make it up. So as long as you have the correct bankroll, and we'll talk about exactly what you should have in terms of bankroll in a second. Also, strategy. Without a plan to succeed, it is a plan to fail. You must have a good strategy. Most people actually have decent strategies. They just don't have good bankroll management, and they also don't have good time and personal management. But then most of the time, oftentimes, strategy are bad too, especially when you can't calculate your factors, when you don't know the calculus and the probabilities of the mathematics of what you're doing. If you don't know that, and then you're just kind of playing like a gambler, you will be, as it says here, it's going to require both to win, a financial plan and a strategic plan. Only having one or the other, you're going to eventually be a loser. If you're both, then you're certainly going to be a loser. Some people are thinking that they have a strategy and they don't know how to make a calculus on it. That's not a strategy. And then they're playing with money like they're playing like gamblers. They don't have enough money. They don't know how to compensate for losses like a business would. That's the reason why they're losing. This business cycle, when you look at it from a perspective of when you're talking about bankroll management, you are playing in a banking business. This is a financial business. And in this business, the cycle moves about 45 seconds at minimum, meaning every 45 seconds, that's a critical time to actually make a play on your money. You know, time, like it says here, time is your overhead cost. The faster your ability to make a financial decision, the more risk you take. The more risk you take, the more funds you should have. Okay, you've got to understand these sort of principles, because if this is your first time ever thinking about something like this, you've been gambling the whole time. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why I'm creating this video, because a lot of people don't even go into this sort of depth in managing their game, and then they wonder why they're losing. Okay, I did another video that talked about, I showed a guy who showed how to create your own algorithm against yourself or against someone else. And basically, he baited the people into playing the game to the point where they eventually lost. Well, the only reason they lost is because they didn't take their money when they were up. The reason they didn't take their money is because they didn't really have a plan. Their only goal was to keep from eating that red hot chili pepper. But in the video that you'll see if you go back and look at it, but their only goal was to hit. But in between time, they had to take out, it was a jar. It was 13 pieces of candy. At the bottom of it was a chili pepper. And the objective was you can take 1, 2, or 3 at a time, and then the other guy takes 1, 2, and 3. The last person with candy or without candy has to eat the chili pepper. So that's how the game worked. And it was an algorithm that no matter what you did, you would end up with the chili pepper. Okay, so the game works that way, and it works every 45 seconds. And the one reason why permutations is what it is because every 45 seconds there's a new outcome, and this outcome is creating patterns. All right, so with patterns, you still have to have a financial plan for it, even though permutations itself you will win most of the time. Your problem, or most people's problem, is that they don't, number one, have a good a budget for their business, and they don't understand how time and money plays a factor in their losing. All right, so I'm gonna make it really, really clear and simple, because otherwise you'll be considered a gambler if you don't have a strategic and a financial plan for success. All right, so setting up your business, I always talk about this as a business. Before you can really start thinking about bankroll, understand that it's a business. Understand that you don't have accountants, lawyers, managers, employees, race, religion, sex, taxes, marketing, risk, support, technology, and all the factors that you would normally have to have in any business to succeed. And because of that, you only really now have to focus on your strategy and on your bankroll. Those are the only two things in this business you really have to be concerned with, and how time plays a factor in them both. So if you're thinking about starting a business, you have, let me go back here. You have all of these things to worry about and more. In this business, there's only two things to worry about: strategy and bankroll. Okay, so in this one, we're going to talk about bankroll, because we have plenty of strategies that we can do. If you got the bundle package, it has a gazillion strategies. Okay, and all of these are well thought out strategies. These are not strategies that are just say, hey, put 5 on red, wait 3, put 3 on red. No, these are calculated strategies that have been tested thousands of times. The problem is that you want to play the game over and over and over again, and you don't have the financial capacity to operate a business that way. Okay, if you have a business and you only have, say, $100, and in this $100, let's say you only could afford to keep the lights on if no customers came. But assuming no customers came, are you meaning to tell me that you're going to be out of business? So you're not going to be able to be in business tomorrow because your only budget in business was $100. And you only assumed that there would never be a day where you'll not get customers. There is nothing in the world that works that way. Nothing in the world. So stop letting the casino trick you and bait you into this concept that it's just a game. It's not a game. There's real money. There's real things happening. There's a lot of money being made on both sides. Which side are you on? You got to figure it out. And then you got to have strategy and you have to have goals. All right, so let's talk about what are your goals. Your goals should be based on growth over time and not attempting to make too much too fast without having a proper bankroll to manage. So growth over time, particularly when you're starting a business and you have a limited capital. If you win 1 time a day, you should be happy. because assuming the more you play, the more risk there is to lose. Period. I don't care if it's a 99% win rate. 1% means you're going to have to spend more time playing to recover. And that's another issue. Most people, when they lose, they not only have bankrolls to recover with, but then they want to make it all up right there because they don't have a financial goal. They don't have a business cycle. How many sessions will you play a day? What are your goals and how much do you want to earn per session? Okay, one of the reasons why I always teach people to space out your playing time unless the game is just giving it to you is because when you space out your playing time, then you don't give the game a too much of an opportunity to run a permutation against you that would allow you to maybe lose a few bucks and have to spend more time recovering. Okay, and we're going to talk about that in a second. So you got to think about it from a business perspective. What is your business cycle and how consistent are you in this cycle? How many sessions will you play a day? And how much do you want to earn per session? Well, that's going to depend on your bankroll. So let's go a little further here. Bankrolls according to Playstyle. So it depends on what type of Playstyle you're playing. If you have a flat bet strategy, most people don't have flat bet strategies, not good ones anyway. And progression. So there's two ways, a flat bet or a progression. I have a number of different flat bet strategies. In my mentorship program, one of the biggest issues that I have with people is wanting to play for hours or for moments instead of just being able to win one. The game changes very, very frequently. Now, here's another thing is that when you understand the nuance of the game, there are a number of ways to always win, whether it's a flat or progression strategy. But if you do not have the bankroll, okay, you can't sit and play for hours or moments or minutes. Okay, so if you have a flat bet strategy and you should multiply whatever that minimum is by 30 times. Okay, 30 times. So if you have a $10 flat bet strategy, 10 times 30 is 300. That's your minimum daily goal, minimum daily budget for whatever goal you have. Your goal, and I don't have this written here, but that should be your bankroll. Your goal should always be simple and slow, well, at least to me, simple and slow. If you're playing fast, if you're playing long, you need to multiply that times 60, times 100. The longer and the more you're playing, the more money you need, particularly if you're making bets on your money every time a spin is happening. You need to have the financial capacity to compete with yourself. If you don't have that and you actually hit a loss, number one, don't ever chase losses. But number two, if you hit a loss, you need money to continue to play. In life, there are things called ups and downs, wins and losses. Nothing ever stays the same. So don't ever expect not to take a loss or two. You never expect not to be down 2 or 3 wins or 4 or 5 wins. It happens. But you need a good strategy to make that back up. And the way you make it back up, you make it back over time. But when I recommend 30 times the amount on a flat bet strategy, it gives you plenty of opportunity to make a comeback with the money that you made, even if you're down 3 or 4 games. With 30 times the amount, you'll be able to make that back fairly easily. So as long as you have a good strategy to do so. All right. Progression strategies. Oh, let's talk about the pros. Well, you'll never really lose your bankroll according to a flat bet strategy. It's easy winning by compounding profits, meaning focusing on winning one a day. No one ever will do this, and because I don't know of a single person who has patience like this. But even if you just focused on winning one a day for 6 months and see what kind of money you have in 6 months. And then after that, do it for 6 more months, but then double your money. Then after that, do it for another 6 months and triple your money. You'll have $250,000 in 3 years. But who has the patience for that, right? Okay, but anyway, so that's a whole nother topic. The The cons to a flat bet is that you may take more time making up for losses on a 50-50 scale without a progression. All right. Now, if you're playing like in dozens and you're having to, if you're doing flat bet on dozens, so that's a 2-to-1 loss advantage. That's different. But regardless of which, any type of flat bet is just going to take more time to make it up. However, if you have a scheduled play time or you have sessions throughout the day or every day, the game is going to give you opportunities to make up your losses. Don't try and ever chase them. This is a business. If you have a customer that comes in the door and they don't buy, you don't run out of the store trying to get them to purchase it. You're going to lose your business. Someone's going to call the cops on you. Make sense of what you're doing. Okay? This is a business, so stop thinking like a gambler. Stop thinking like the casino wants you to think. They want you to think like this is a game. This is an unbeatable game. That's the biggest myth ever. We can fly to the moon. We can fly to the moon, people. We can fly out of this world, but we can't ever beat the game of roulette? How senseless thinking is that? I mean, it's the most dumbest thing I've ever heard. But people believe that. Nonetheless, all right. So progression strategies. Define highest possible loss one can take before a win and multiply that times 4. So basically, if you have a 7, say you have if you're doing permutations of any sort, let's say in a red and black situation, or even in a dozens, whatever the maximum progression is. All right. So if the maximum progression is 7 and the total cost is say $600, you should multiply that times 4. Okay. That's what you need to have in terms of a bankroll to be strong in your progression. Otherwise, you're going to have to be okay with winning like 1 a day or 2 a day or 3 a day, very minimum wins, and building over time if you don't ever want to run into that 6 or 7 cycle loss. Most people's biggest problem is that they never get up when they win. Never. Think about how many times you were up and you stayed and you lost. How many times, and think about all the money you lost when you knew you were up and you stayed. How many times? Think about all the money lost. Okay? And it's very easy to blame people and blame everyone else. Oh, your strategies are this or that. No. It's the reason why I have a mentorship program that's guaranteed, right? It's because I know, okay, the strategies and the way to go about this, it's 100. You can't beat it. The only way you get beat is beating yourself. When you don't study, when you play more than you practice, what I almost said something nasty. What fool What fool goes out on the football field playing and never goes to practice? Remember Allen Iverson when he was talking about practice? You know what I mean? I mean, they made a joke out of it, but he wasn't really talking about that. But my point here is that the professionals, we practice, we study 10 times more than we play, so that when we play, we never lose. And when we play, it's a business to us, so we make sure we have enough to support our business. If we don't, then we play very, very likely knowing that we are not playing or managing properly if we're not having the proper financial tools to. This is a financial business, folks. Just get the concept of the game out of your head. This is a financial business. So you got to always think on it like that. Otherwise, you're going to continue to lose in this market. It's the best market to be in, by the way. There's nothing in this world that, you know, when we're talking about like all this stuff that a business had, even if you're in stocks and bonds, you still have a lot of this factors that you can't calculate. In roulette, you don't have all those factors. Neither do you have all the calculation factors. I swear to God, it's too good of a game not to retire from. Okay. All right. more funding is always in your favor, obviously. So the more money that you have, the better it can be. Always swap. Never. Let me see if I think it's the next slide we're talking about. Yeah, I'll get into that. I was going to talk about time. Uh, the more you're having in your bankroll, doesn't necessarily mean you have to always increase your minimums just because your bankroll is growing. All right. So increase your minimum when you say have like 8 times the amount that you could. Like if you're doing progressions, have 8 times before you increase your minimum. You know what I mean? Think on it that way, and then fall back into a 4. But stay safe. Grow over time. Don't try and build it all in one day. All right. So let's go here. If you don't have much funds, if you should play only once. Yeah, so we just talked about that earlier. If you don't have much money, just know that you're taking a bigger risk in playing when you don't have proper bankroll. And be okay with one win, especially if you don't have proper bankroll. Bankroll multiplier benefit. The reason why there's a benefit in having bankroll, it keeps you in the game in the event of a loss. Sometimes if you're flat betting, you go down 3 or 4 losses. You got 30 times the amount, so you got 27 more times to make that same mistake. You won't do it. Okay, you could always stop. All right, you could always just stop playing and come back. You don't have to sit there and make it up like a gambler. Okay, have a dedicated time of playing, and then when you're done, you're done. If you don't win, you don't win. You come back in your next session. All right, and whatever you're losing, you put it into like an overtime bucket. You make it up over time. You don't chase it. All right. So you gotta think like that. Comfortable and relaxed play. When you have bankroll, it's just if you're broke, people who are broke, it's anytime I'm ever broke, which is never broke. But when I was broke, I'm gonna tell you, man, it was a horrible feeling. It was everything irked you. Even when I get down on my money and like, I'm not comfortable. I can't even really think well. So having bankroll management, especially when you understand your strategy and your system that you're playing with, when you truly get that, having that proper bankroll is going to allow you to do this freely. You're not going to be tripping on yourself. And it's a fast way to play after losses. Obviously, if you're playing with permutations and you hit a max loss, when you have the proper bankroll, it's easy to make the losses back up, particularly after a max loss like that. So, but when you don't have the bankroll and you hit a max loss, you can't make it up. I mean, it's not like the game is going to hit huge max losses back to back to back, particularly when you're talking about 7 and 8 cycle permutations. It's I've never seen it, so not that deep anyway. And if you understand how to do permutations or any of the other systems, you know what I mean. Especially if you study it, you'll know what I'm talking about. All right. So that's just the reason for that multiplier is to have these things. You want to also be comfortable, relaxed, and you want to stay in the game if you should ever take a loss. Managing losses. Have a financial stop loss. So if your stop loss is 2, if it's 3 games back, let that be that. Okay? Don't chase anything. Don't ever attempt to make up losses. Don't chase men. Don't chase women. Don't even chase money, man. Chase life. Chase fulfillment. Let it all come to you because the game is going to come to you. Have sessions and allow the game to produce areas where you can make it up freely over time. Don't try to do it all at once. If you ever should go down. Like I said, look at it as an overtime. Keep and stay on track with where you are in terms of your wins. Okay. Let's see. Keep the task and goals. Always stay consistent. 99% of us are not consistent. That's another problem. It's not really strategy. It's not really any of that. It's mostly us. It's personal discipline that is what it is. And oftentimes we don't want to admit that because I don't know why we think we could just come to $1 billion a month game and just make $10,000 every time we sit down and there's no work to do like this. The thing is that you can do that. What's crazy is that you really can do it, but the way that you're going about doing it is not the right way. You don't want to. You got to learn to grow. Okay, so you got to learn to make that same $5 bet that you make growing your business. That same $5 bet turns into a $5,000 bet over time. Okay. You don't want to spend more time playing, all right? You always want to spend the same amount of time or less playing, but always making more money within the time you play. Keep it that way, all right? So you don't want to spend more time playing. That's not the objective, because the game is a very primitive game. So you don't want to spend more time playing, all right? So here's some keys to success. Play conservative and allow your money to grow over time. Just kind of finish saying that. That's probably the biggest thing I could ever tell you is to do that. Always have money to fund your business. Otherwise, you're just gambling. Listen, if you're bringing a knife to a gunfight, don't be shocked that you get shot, all right, and you get murdered. You have to consider you are in a financial business here, all right. So if you're anything subpar, then being secure in your financial obligation to run your business effectively and always stay winning and always stay at the top, being consistent. If you don't have the money to do that, you are just gambling. And the gambling is not in the strategy. The gambling is in your abilities to fund your strategy. That's the gamble that you're taking, and the gamble that many lose. You can't fund it. All right. So you need to, and if you can't fund it today, you may have just a few bucks to do this. Play very sparingly and grow your money. Don't try and do it all in a day. Okay, just think on it that way. Never chase losses. Big one. Never chase losses. The game is going to come to you in your sessions. It's going to give you opportunities for you to make 1 and 2 every other session. You'll make up whatever losses over time. Okay. Practice more than you play. Learn to see the game through strategy. The strategies that I present, like I said, they're well thought out. Oh, by the way, if you still want the bundle and the numbers, I'm getting a lot of emails. A lot of people are having a lot of success with that. If you want them, I will still allow you to do it up through Christmas. I'm just grateful, man. A lot of people are supporting me. So for that reason, I'm going to give back. So I'm going to do it up and through Christmas. So if you want that, it's good through Christmas. So keep the party going. But you need to practice more than you play. So whatever you get from me, if you are not deeply entrenched into practicing more than playing, and you're not really seeing the game, shame on you. Because as a professional, you've got to think and play like a professional player. If you're not trying to be a professional, then you're just being a gambler, and that's on you. But I wouldn't waste your time. I wouldn't waste my time or my money on anything. So it's got to be worth it. So make it worth it. All right. Stagger time between wins unless it's just a laydown game. This keeps you from bumping into areas of payback. Stagger your wins, stagger your sessions. That way you don't run into a consistent loss pattern. If you have a stop loss and you continue to monitor the game and you see that it would have continued to lose had you been playing, then you know at that point, hey, just get up and leave. Come back and wait till another session that's better for you. It's just that simple, all right? And then the last thing, have fun. Once you really get this bottom out, like I said, there is no other business in the world I think anyone could be in that gives you the financial freedom that Roulette does. I'm going to do another video talking about that succinctly. True financial freedom, what does that really mean? And I'm going to talk about how we've been taught to think about things and how our thoughts manifest our reality. That's very, very true. If you are very fearful, you're going to get the results of what you're afraid of. You're not going to really think about what drives out fear is knowledge. The more understanding and knowledge you have, the less fear you have. Okay. When you are afraid, the only reason that you may be afraid is because you don't know enough. You haven't studied enough. You haven't practiced enough. But I swear to God, if you go into any professional sport, these people are very confident. They're only confident because they've practiced and they studied the game enough that when they step out on the court, it's game time. There's no questions being asked. So once you get to that place, I swear to God, guys, it's a lot of fun. I'm at the MGM. I had a really good weekend again. Didn't lose a single time, actually. I didn't lose a single time I played. And so it's really a fun thing. But when I won, I would tell you, I didn't sit down there and try to win 3, 4, 5, 6. All I won. I play big and I leave. I play big. So, but I've grown my money. So it's like now I'm only having to play two or three games to make the kind of money I want. See, I'm not spending more time playing. See, that's what a gambler does. They want to make $1 million in a day. But it's like, if you want to really be a millionaire for the rest of your life, grow your money. Think and grow rich. Starts with thinking. All right? And then grow rich. It didn't say think and be rich. No. Riches and wealth is something that happens in time. All right? Because you have an appreciation of what you had to go through and become to become wealthy. All right. So I'm just letting you know, guys, this is the best outfit for anything financial to me. I'd be willing to argue with anybody what business on earth you could be in that eliminates as much risk as you have. The biggest problem I think that we have in this game is us. It ain't even the game, it's us. The game is going to allow you to win. If the game didn't allow you to win, it wouldn't be a game. Your problem is leaving. Your problem is you don't leave. Like I said, think about how many times you were up and then you didn't leave. And how many people did you blame when that happened? Did you get mad? Did you stomp the casino, or did you slap yourself? You know, most people slam. I seen this one guy. He was at the casino. Man, he lost a lot of money. He slammed down the table, cursed. And I'm like, well, why don't you just slap yourself? Why don't you body slam yourself? Because it's more, you were there too long. And I knew that you were up. You had to have been up because the guy was there for a while. But he eventually he eventually lost it all. And so it's like, hey, when you're up, be okay being up. Be okay being up and be okay walking. The game has to allow you to win. Otherwise, no one would play. But the reason why people continue to play is because they think it's a game. It's not a game. It's a business. It's a financial business. Best strategies, good financial management, good bankroll, good diligence and patience toward it, conservatism, growing over time. These financial principles, you use those, you're going to have a lot of success. Anything outside of that is going to be a recipe for failure and disaster. All right, guys, listen, that's my time. If you want strategies, like I said, the bundle stuff is everything. I'm going to be going 50% off of everything. A lot of people are having a lot of success. If you're not having much success, watch this video again. More than likely, this is where you're at. You're probably stuck in here. Either that or you haven't studied enough. Like I said, it's us. Once we get ourselves together and we're okay with that one consistent win, I swear to God, your life's going to change forever. Email me, PermutationsPro@gmail.com. If you want anything of the systems, let me know that's what you want. The numbers game is also have a one that's predicting numbers, how to predict numbers. I have that one that's also included in the bundle. I'll give you that one too if you get the numbers. So if you got the numbers and you did not get that one, please email me and let me know. Okay, that way I can send it out to you. Otherwise, guys, have a good day and have fun. Let's do this and take care.